We're sorry, Mr. Sukumaran, but we don't think your son is going to be capable of anything in his life. He can't hold a normal conversation. He limps while he walks. And we don't think he deserves to go to a normal school. This was roughly 20 years ago. I was standing on a situation not unlike this black mat. My life was totally enveloped in darkness. Let me ask you, if you were my parents, what would you have done? Probably cowered down and said, oh, fate has been bad on us. What can we do? Well, my father, being the father that he was, decided to step out of the black into the red, right in front of the world, and did something magical with me. Today he's not there anymore. He's been gone for over 12 years, but he's left me with a single line of inspiration. He told me, son, there are two choices. Either you can go to a special needs school, accept what people talk about you, that you have a condition called CP Dipligia, which has left both your legs under your hip impaired. You're going to struggle with speech for the rest of your life, and you can't interact normally with people. My Rashid Hospital medical report of 1991 still says that we advised this boy to go to a special needs school because he's not equipped for normal interaction with the public, let alone having cognitive intelligence or numerical ability. Signed by Dr. Otto Hasjock, then one of the most prominent heads of the Department of Orthopedics and Neurosurgery. I'd like to meet Dr. Otto now. Here I am. You see, this thing called disability, split it into two. It just means discoverable ability, meaning that there's something inside you waiting to be discovered which you don't know about. And for that, all you need is a turning point moment. For me, that moment was my dad. For all of you who look at disabled children, whatever disability they may have, with that stare, oh, what a disappointed situation this is, such a misfortunate boy or girl, remember that that gaze might be one small step from deciding whether that child goes from disability to capability to opportunity or rewind in reverse. So next time you look at someone, please don't look. Go down to that person and encourage him, for you don't know how much it means to us to be accepted. We don't need sympathy, we don't need empathy, we just need to be a part of you on the same side of the table. Now, the second point, the power of perspective. You know that I have a disability, it's obvious when I walk. See, 6-7 years ago when I was in college, I was hired to be a scribe for a blind person. And now it's the battle of disabilities. I'm better than him, he's more disabled than me. And I was like, what am I going to do wasting my Sunday afternoon for a blind guy writing one of the toughest exams in the world where 1 in 100,000 who attempts gets through? I sit as a scribe and he's like, hello Sujit, my name is Shiva, and thank you for bringing my scribe. We start with the boring, tough trigonometry questions. There's a tree and there's sunlight, cos theta at 45 degrees. What is the angle of inference? 4 options, 23 square miles, 24 square miles, 25 and 26. This guy doesn't have a piece of paper, no scroll sheet, nothing at all. All I see is a stick is tapping on the ground, the silent hall, tuck, 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 tuck. In 5 seconds, he says, negate 23 square miles, 25 square miles because they're odd. Out of the even 24 and 26, it can't be 24 because 26 is divisible by 2. So go ahead, tick 26, next question, please. And I'm like, you see, sometimes every person who's created differently is blessed with a kiss from God in the way of individuality. Only thing you have to do as a civic community is enable that individual to get his different discoverable ability combined into his disability so that he's proud and empowered about it. On the way back, because the battle was still on, I asked Shiva, how is it to be blind? And believe me, that was the worst question I asked in my life. What he did is he grabbed me by the hand. Again, I go back to the black mat because that was the moment I was in darkness. I shouldn't have asked that question. Even though I'm preaching, be part of the community, I made the mistake of asking that question. He says, do one thing, pick up a stone, which you find lying on the ground. I'm left-handed, so I picked it up. I said, drop it on the ground, dropped it on the ground. Pick it up again, picked it up again. He said, throw it at. I'm like, what? This is India. They have laws. You can't abuse disabled people. I'll be in jail. He's like, no, damn it, throw it at me. And I'm like, this guy is asking for it. I don't mind going to jail if I throw the stone at him. I throw it at him. What the dude does is he puts out his hand. The stone hits him after around 8 seconds. He catches it on first bounce. And he says, Sukumar, who do you think is blind now? You or me? Wait. This is not it yet. Then he follows up with an Einstein explanation. Very simple. When you were walking with me, your left hand was on my shoulder. I could make out you were 5'6". Your steps, we were 10 feet apart from each other. When you threw the pebble on the ground, the echo told me that the weight of the stone was somewhere around so and so grams. And when a person of ordinary height at a distance throws a stone of particular weight in this time with a velocity, it'll roughly travel as a projectile. 8 to 9 seconds, I just put out my hand, and there the stone was. And I was like, holy God, what has God done to this man? And then he left me with one dialogue, which changed my life. He said, Sukumar, the problem, even with people like you, there, he was comparing between the disabled and the more disabled, not the disabled and the undisabled. So he was telling me, Sukumar, the problem with people like you is that you see darkness even in light. For even though you are a disabled person like me, you thought that I was more disabled than you, and you discriminated. But the problem with us, Sukumar, whether we like it or not, we are forced to see light even in darkness. My third point I want to emphasize today is the power of no. And I want to get to the middle of this speech by giving a thanksgiving to all those people who told me I can't. Because of them, thank you very much wherever you are. It is because of you that I'm here today. 20 years ago, I couldn't stand, let alone crawl. I was like a caveman, apeman, literally crawling upstairs with 4 legs instead of 2. And today I have graduated from various apparatus on my body to being free. And you don't know how much this means. A lot of people, when they see me walk, they ask me, why don't you use a crutch? I'm like, you'll never understand. Yeah? Now, what is the power of a no? I'm single, ready to mingle, and many a time, when I've proposed to different girls, they've come back with a no. And what have I interpreted that as? Young women and young men, remember that no doesn't mean no opportunity. It just means next opportunity. So keep trying. Yeah? So what does that mean for disabled people and people with challenges? Can anyone who believes they are 100% perfect in this audience raise their hands, please? Someone who's never had a pair of glasses, someone who's never had a depressive moment in their life, someone who's never had problems, someone who's totally enabled. Can you please raise your hands? No one perfect. Excellent. Now, when we, among us, none of us are perfect, how does that, since we are all created by the same God above, how does that enable one brother to discriminate against another, one sister to discriminate another, one perspective to so destroy the disabled person across your other roadside? Why do we do that? Is it because our education system has failed? Probably. Or is it because we don't sensitize our children and young parents today to accept and understand that we are also part of your society? Isn't there something fundamentally wrong? Let me tell you another story. After the power of no, I came to another point where I was getting moderately successful, and what happens is I graduated from school and I was disabled but enabled, so I had to compete with the normal world, and everywhere I found myself getting criticism that you're not good enough, you're not good like the others, And then I was really, really bogged down. I returned to the same black mat of negativity again and again and again. And then I realized people throw bricks of criticism at you all the time. It's your choice what you want to do with that. You can either get hit and bruised and cry till the cows come home about it all day, or else you can pick up each brick, write each person who told you what, and start building a house out of those bricks to the time it becomes a kind of Burj Al Arab or a Burj Khalifa and says, this was your effort, thank you for telling me no, because it's because of you that I was able to do this. That is what the power of negativity has in your life. Now, any young women, suppose I look at that young lady and I tell her, you look horrible today. She will believe it immediately. She's like, I have to look at the next makeup tips. But if I tell her, you're looking really beautiful today, she'll put her hands on her hip and say, really? This is the problem. We tell them the truth and they don't believe it. Now that's how our mind operates. Anything positive you tell people, they'll be like, really? And you tell them anything negative, no certification, no attestation, complete digestion immediately. They take it and they internalize it in their head. This is the problem. When we have enough voices of negativity within our own self, we don't need much more outside. What does this mean for you being one of the normal crowd? Now I'm confused as to who's disabled, you or me. Yeah, but for all of us being part of whatever crowd that you wish to define us as, how do we look at each other? I'll be interested to see in the break whether people are looking at each other more carefully. She has a crooked nose, and he has a jutting front row of teeth. When we look at people microscopically, it's amazing how many disabilities you can find. So much so that, the best definition of what I was given to me some time ago by my friend when we were at a pub in the evening. Mom, I still don't drink, testified. I was just accompanying him with the orange juice and a bunch of peanuts, nothing else. He told me, boss, I really don't care. 2 legs, 4 legs, 6 legs after 3 pegs. But still, as long as you can sit with me and drown my sorrows and listen to my sorrows in a more mature way than anyone else can, you're my best buddy. I don't really care how many legs you have. As long as you have a head and it talks sense, that's more than enough. Coming to the point of perceptions of people outside, once, like when this proposing thing was going on, I asked a girl, and she told me, oh, you have cerebral palsy diplegia. Will it spread to our kids? I'm like, come on, this is not a contagious disease. Girl, you need to go and read up first before any marriage plans can be thought out of. So, who is to blame? Is it that girl's ignorance is what cost me my proposal? Not really. It's all of us as a society who are to blame. Even me, when I returned to that black mat, when I diagnosed Shiva as being somebody blinder than I am, and then when he taught me that daring lesson, that blindness is not about having sight, it's about losing vision. And when you don't have vision, sight is a very funny thing. You can be nearsighted, short-sighted, far-sighted, but unless you have vision. I had sight, the 2 eyes, but I absolutely lacked vision. That tight slap that Shiva gave me that day, it totally reoriented my vision. And believe me, when he came, he was not alone. There was a very pretty-looking lady driving him down to the exam, and at least he's a successful gentleman at that, despite his disability. So he's a role model. Shiva, amazing work. Coming back to what I've done for so many years, it's not been easy. How have I reached there? Very simple. I've had my parents. My father's no more today, like I said, but I'm sure he'll be sitting upstairs and he'll be smiling down, because many a time our works in life are like this. They're legacies which may not see the light of our lifetime, but still we must work. If at all you have a child with a disability, or you know of a friend with a child with disability, do what you can to encourage and emancipate that child's life, at least go to that child's parents and say a few good words if you can't say anything else. But please don't sympathize with them. Don't say, oh my God, God's been unkind to you. Coming to that, has God been unkind to me? Not really. What am I speaking about today? What would I have been without my disability? Disability got me my identity. Disability is what gave me my empowerment. Disability even got me to TEDxAlAin. So, remember, whatever God gives you, life is not about wanting more. It's about starting from this black mat of birth in darkness in your mother's womb. And when you're coming out, you're the only one who's crying and other people are laughing. Ultimately, you'll go laughing and somebody will be crying at the end of days. But the thing is not about the dates between the tombstone, the date of birth or the date of death. It's about that dash in between. It's about that journey of life. How worthwhile you want to make your life. Is it the years in the number of days or the days in the number of years? Believe me, every person, disabled, enabled, capable, somebody you think who's a moron, everyone has a right to exist. And it is all these disabilities and these weird quirks that God gifts us with that make us ourselves. You can either choose to treat it like a bad tattoo, which you don't want to show anybody, and you're ashamed about it, or you can flaunt it like your signature. I am like this because I am like this. The day you start accepting and giving thanks for who you are, that is the day when you'll start celebrating life for who you are. And when you start celebrating life for who you are, every chance and every desire of yours will come true because everyone around you will be smiling with you and the whole universe will silently conspire to make your dreams possible. Unless you accept who you are from within, believe me, nobody else will accept you from outside. The real confirmation of acceptance and the real belief comes from within. I think, therefore I am because I think. How many of you agree with that? It's been hard. People come home and they tell my mom, you're so lucky you have a handsome 25-year-old son. Now, most people who have beautiful daughters don't come home and tell that. I don't know why. Yeah? It's all these old ladies whose daughters are already married and gone. They have no risk or no collateral to afford. They say, oh, Ramni, you're so lucky. Your son is so handsome. What do they have to lose? Yeah? Why don't the other aunties come home and say, okay, so we can explore further? Yeah? But I'd like to dedicate this one to my dad, who's up above, and to my mom, who's sitting there in one of the rows. Because I remember the stories about them. And without them, I would have not been here at all. As Charlie Chaplin once said, life in the short sight is always a tragedy. But in the long shot, my friends, remember, life is always a comedy. It depends on who has the last laugh. Keep laughing, keep celebrating, and enjoy the gift of life that God has given.